This is WCM's Park Update, a weekly show covering the outdoor hospitality industry, hosted by Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. During each episode, you'll hear from special guests and campground experts on topics that will help your park flourish. WCM's Park Update is a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine.
Hi, I'm Ben Quiggle, editor of Woodall's Campground Magazine, and this is another edition of WCM's Park Update, sponsored by New Book Reservation Systems. And of course, my colleague Mike Gast is here. And I just saw you last week at the glamping show, didn't we?
Yeah, I finally got out of town for the first time after arriving in Omaha. It was kind of nice.
Yeah. And Mike is the former vice president of communications at Campgrounds of America, and we saw quite a few KOA people out there.
Absolutely, they were well represented, as was a lot of folks that I see cross over from the campground industry into the glamping business too.
Yeah, and it was an awesome show. I mean, I had a really great time. There's a lot of unique units out there, and that's kind of where we ran into our guest today, Moe Kruger. He's a senior loan officer with Live Oak Bank, and you guys are based in North Carolina, right, Moe?
Well, we're based in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is in the southeast corner of the state, right on the Atlantic Ocean. So not a bad place to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it was, I don't know what your take was on the glamping show this year, Moe. Had you been to a glamping show before?
Yep. I was there the year before, so was very impressed with the increase in people attending it, as well as pretty good increase in vendors. It seemed like, especially the outside part, that must have been up 30% or so from a year ago. So yeah. I think it's got a lot of momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it was really neat products on display. I like the 2-story tent. They had like something out of Star Wars there this year, a unit. They had a couple mirrored units, which I think that was the first year I'd seen mirrored units at the show. And just a really great time, really neat experience there in Colorado.
I can't get the 3D printed cabin out of my mind. I mean,
yeah, yep. Yeah, that too. The 3D printed cabin was pretty neat. It was just a really nice time to get to catch up with people. I always look forward to that show. So I'm kind of excited about next year's show, but, you know, it's a little ways away. So we've got other shows this fall to visit too as well. So are you going to any other shows this fall, Moe?
We'll be exhibiting at Arvik in Kansas City, I guess November 7th, I think it is. So we'll be there. We'll have one of my teammates, Nick Barker. He'll be in Branson.
Yeah.
And then we'll start doing kind of the regular circuit with the Carolinas and Florida and Taco. And I think we go to probably about 6 or 8 state shows, as well as the glamping show in Arvik.
Okay. So you guys obviously do a lot of work in the outdoor hospitality sector. I guess how big of a part of your business is that? Do you guys do quite a few loans to RV parks and developers and stuff?
We really do. You know, the idea is that with Live Oak is to specialize in where you're lending. So we just feel like if we do that, because we look at it like we're going into partnership with the borrower. Mm-hmm. And so the better versed we are in the industry, you know, it could be something as simple as tweaking the loan to help them with cash flow, whatever it might be. And so we've had real success. We opened up this vertical in the beginning of 2022 and are very excited about the opportunity, as well as so far the results that we've had. We do development deals, we do acquisitions, we do expansions. So definitely an industry that we feel is one that there's quite a bit of opportunity. My background had been, I had helped start our storage division in 2015, and I see a lot of similarities between the two. The good part about RV parks is storage is pretty close to the perfect industry, but it's really difficult to acquire a storage facility because the people who own them know what they have. So when they put it on the market, they're priced with a pretty good premium, which then forces someone, if they want to get into it, to develop their own. Whereas with the RV parks, I think there's still a lot of really good opportunities for acquisitions as well as development deals. So we're very excited about what the future looks like.
I know, Moe, with my time with Campgrounds of America, it was very difficult in the early days of the camping business, and at least my career, to help campground owners find financing because banks really didn't understand the business. They didn't understand the seasonality of it. When they would bring their paperwork in and they would say that they were closed for half the
Right.
year or
Right.
4 months, it was something that a bank just wasn't interested in. And a few banks took the time to understand it. And I know that KOA kind of zeroed in on a couple of those banks.
Right.
And I think it's gotten to be a little bit more accepted because it's such a hot business to be in. Do you see a lot more lending operations coming into the business now and competing for the loans?
I think that there are, different segments of it seem to be more competitive. When you're looking at a ground up development deal to some folks that, let's say, that's always been their dream, but they don't have necessarily the former ownership experience of a campground. I think some banks shy away from that. But there are certainly ways to finance those, and those are ones that we welcome. And I think that it's just still a very underserved industry where for somebody pursuing their dreams to own one, I really can't think of too many different opportunities that I think I could put above the campground industry.
In your mind, is there really a lot of expansion right now, or is it ground up type construction?
A little bit of both. I mean, it's, as you guys well know, the industry is so diverse, and there's so many different ways that people are pursuing it. That we see a lot of folks that are trying to grab 4, 5, 6 a year, but at the same time, to me, it's just such a wholesome industry where the people who have been in it. It is without a doubt the one thing that comes out is it's a lifestyle. The park owners, they absolutely love their guests when they come down and they get the repeat guests. That's probably been the biggest part that I've been impressed with. Is this is truly a lifestyle business that people get into, and I think the ones who are successful, that permeates through the park, that they just appreciate the guests being there, and we love those type of deals.
So you're saying the banking's not a lifestyle industry?
I put in a plug for Live Oak Bank. Live Oak definitely is, just because we are such a unique bank, and I've said that it's a great place to be, but the rest of the banks, I'll let them answer that for themselves.
So, when we're looking at the market, are banks getting a little bit more comfortable as more of these loans go out and they kind of see the success of the industry? I guess maybe you already kind of answered that.
Well, I think from an overall standpoint, yes. From, let's say, a very selfish standpoint, let's hope not, so that we can continue to travel the country and try to find deals. Yeah. But no, I think it's inevitable because of the performance that the lenders are gravitating towards that. And so I think so. But at the same time, headwinds with how quickly rates have spiked. And, so it's a situation that, in theory, I think a lot of banks are wanting to get involved. Timing of it, is it right now? Maybe not for some banks that really don't quite understand it, but we're still very optimistic about it.
So how creative did you have to get with your programs when it's an industry that is seasonal in a lot of the country? Did you have to come up with some very unique things in order to have sort of a pay as you go system, because there's not a lot of income coming in for a lot of campgrounds in January and February?
Right. No, it's just like, all banking. You've got to, I think some banks forget this part. You've got to try to put your borrower in a position to be successful. And that means they have to be properly funded. And so if that means adding in the correct amount of carry money for the off season, that's really important to us. So, with us, with our team doing nothing but RV parks and campgrounds and glamping, it's, it's our responsibility to try to understand it. And that is understanding the deal, the location, the seasonality of it, everything that goes with these parks. I think that, it's up to us to try to be able to understand that, because at the end of the day, it's pretty simple. We want them to be massively successful. And we get repaid and everybody wins. So going back to us being a good partner, we want to be able to understand their challenges and offer solutions to be able to help.
Yeah. Yeah. So what are some of the challenges the banking industry faces right now as you're looking at giving out loans? Obviously, the interest rates probably stick out a little bit.
Right. We still get a lot of people that are relatively new to the industry. And so, it's good communication and really try to tear down the curtain of secrecy as far as what is a bank looking for, because, and I know it probably sounds corny, but it's an honor if somebody calls us, who seeks us out and finds us. And, I was talking to a couple yesterday in California. Heck, that's an honor that they reached out to us all the way across the country. And so, the preparation, we try to really help the borrower with the preparation and what they can do to, when they do find a property or find an acquisition, what is the best way to be set up so that they're prepared to go through the process. And a lot of people, they're brand new to it. And so you have to understand they have a little apprehension. And so we want to be able to kind of go through step by step with them. And it's, very important to me because a lot of folks don't know Live Oak Bank. And so it's very important to give them the good, the bad, the ugly up front. And I think it's a way to hopefully develop trust a lot quicker, because if I just simply present something to them and just hit nothing but the highlights, and then hang up, and then 3 weeks later that, they find some things that they don't love as much, really, I don't think that's a real great way to do business. So you want to be able to say, here are the things you're going to love. Here are the things that, you're going to have to kind of deal with. And at the end of the day, if the things you love are outweigh the others, then, hopefully we have a good opportunity or we're in position to be able to help them.
How do campground loans compare to regular business loans? I mean, as far as their success rate, is it a very how many fail? I mean, how many do you actually lose?
Yeah, the success rate is very high. And it's, if you look at it and you look at fundamentals of it, the industry is growing. It obviously did great during COVID, which a lot of businesses failed. But the ability to be able to offer that, as well as you do have something tangible there. You have real estate. And so kind of the combination of that and the growing, trend of people wanting to have experiences, not just the cookie cutter, go to, a resort, stay inside and go lay out at the pool. Right now, it's as hot as any time to have that great experience. And that's what it's offering. So even though with rates being high, I think that the opportunity and potential is still great.
Yeah. Well, we have to take a short break to recognize our sponsor, New Book, and then we will be right back.
Calling all campground operators, owners, front desk heroes, say hello to your show sponsor, New Book, your connected hospitality management solution packed with the power to streamline your operations, maximize revenue, increase bookings, and deliver memorable guest experiences. Thanks to its suite of innovative and easy-to-use tools, backed by an expert customer support team cheering you on 24/7. So if you're ready to level up your campground and unlock more opportunities, head to newbook.cloud to start your journey today.
Hi, welcome back to WCM's Park Update, sponsored by New Book. And we are talking with Moe Kruger, a senior loan officer at Live Oak Bank, based in North Carolina. And of course, we met Moe last week at the Glampede show. He had a nice booth there. I think traffic was pretty good. You guys were outside or inside the show?
Well, we're always trying to calculate best places to be when we go to the show. And, so I think kind of going forward to next year, it's going to be something that we look at. And obviously the weather was conducive to both places this year. I think that both of them got good foot traffic. Inside was certainly the area that I think that was 51% favorable for us. But going forward, we kind of welcome both locations.
Yeah. So are glamping loans any different than traditional campground loans? Do you approach them any differently?
There's some nuances to it. Just like, you have the nuances to the transient parks, the destination parks. So you're going to have that aspect to it. And, going back again, understanding the cash flow of it. So I would love to say, and it is obviously the gray hair will give away that I've done this for a bit. Still waiting for one deal to look like the next deal. Every deal is unique in itself. There's certain fundamentals that are good, but there's slight differences.
Yeah.
I'd say this: the site visits are fantastic. You get to go to some places that generally have some natural beauty that is fantastic. So. That part, when you do get one, and we go visit every customer that we finance, we go look at the location. Certainly you look forward to seeing the glamping ones.
So, when you're looking at these loans, on the Woodall side, we hear a lot about the developmental process, the permitting, working with local officials. How much of that does the bank look at when they're doing the loan? Are you looking at places that already have those pieces in place when they apply for a loan, so they already have the zoning and everything completed?
Right. So zoning, yes. We definitely want to make sure that that's there, because obviously as we talk about positioning the borrower for success, if they don't have that and then they don't get it, then trouble. So there are some municipalities that take a while to get the permits. Can't get permits, without owning the land. So there are some steps in place that we can close on the land while they're waiting to get the permits. So we allow them to be able to secure the property as long as the zoning is proper. And then, depending on the municipality, you're hoping it's sooner rather than later so that they can get going with their construction and development of it.
Yeah. Looks like we lost Mike.
I think so. He froze for a bit. I thought I saw his eyes close. So I'm getting kind of bored. Maybe I should start juggling or doing something.
He tends to have internet issues sometimes where I know they're moving. Yeah. So maybe at the new place. But, for years too, from National Association of RV Parks and Campgrounds, they operate like a school, a management school on a yearly basis. And I know one of their talking points is that the management school really helps developers or even current park owners get loans because they've taken the time to educate themselves more about the business. I guess you're a loan provider, and obviously we don't want to say anything negative about Arvik, and the school's great, but is that something you guys look at from a loan perspective? How much people have invested into learning about the business, I guess?
I think that's a good way to put it. Some people have the experience, so that's great. Yeah. It's kind of going to what can people do to help their chances of getting approved. It's a lot of preparation, and it's understanding not only just the industry in general, but their market. Putting together a good team, and when they go to financing, there's a little bit of interview the lender, make sure they understand the industry, and make sure that they can understand how the cash flow works. But I think a lot of the prep work is very important. The ones that are prepared and the ones that are very responsive, when you send them a checklist and say, hey, here are the things that we're going to need, then I think that those are the ones that are a little bit more streamlined. And from our side, we really do appreciate the people who they pay attention to detail. So if I say, hey, I need these 10 things and we get back 7 of them, it slows it down. If we get 10 and they get 10 back to us and say, what else do you need? It makes the process go a lot better. And that's part of the preparation.
Yeah. I hear a buzz.
Yeah. That's my wife's vehicle.
Don't
tell her I didn't answer.
I guess, on the equipment financing side too, do you guys do the equipment financing, or is it just basic loans for developments?
No, we're going to look at the I think the fun part about it is people come and let's say it's an acquisition and they say, okay, the acquisition price is X. We're going to look at it as a project, and we're going to look and say, again, going back to just that theme of how do we help them be successful. So we're going to look at it and say, okay, the acquisition price is this. What type of improvements are needed? What type of, what type of equipment is needed? Anything like that. So we'll build that into our loan, and depending on the size of the deal and what it looks like, the option could be a conventional deal, or one of the things we've had a lot of success with is the utilizing the Small Business Administration. If you look at that, and let's say we do a SBA 7A loan, you can build that in. You can build carry money in, and if the cash flow will support it, we'll finance up to 90% of that, which one allows people to get into a parks, a little bit sooner. It also potentially, if they have success, maybe they get a second park or third park. And if your responsibility is, let's say, a 10% injection rather than a 30% injection, you save your money for park number 2, and maybe that's a little bit sooner than what it would be if with a conventional option. So it's really trying to understand what works best for the borrower. Certainly, you hope when you're presenting 2 or 3 different options that one of them is such a clear-cut favorite that you're able to identify that and go down that path. I think one of the great things that at least we do is nobody's paid an individual commission on any deal, and that really does allow us to figure out what is best for that borrower, what is best for the bank, and kind of combine those without that little bit of, well, what's in it for me. So
how does the cabin, we were obviously at the glamping show not too long ago, and we saw those unique accommodation units. Obviously, park models and stuff are pretty hot right now. How do you approach a park owner when they come up and say, hey, we'd like to buy 2 or 3 accommodation units? Is there like a vetting process for the type of units they want to get a loan out for? Like, are banks happier with a park model versus maybe like a teepee or a glamping tent or something?
I think understanding the cost of it versus what it does to the park, and again what they will be able to get for the rate on that. So there's going to be a bigger investment with a park model home versus something else, and there are also the life expectancy of that. So one of the reasons why we try to go to as many different shows as we can is to also get to know the vendors and get to know the quality of their work, because as we're talking with the borrowers and going through the process, it is important for us to be able to refer them to other vendors in the industry that we know are going to be able to protect them and give them good quality, whether it be a stagecoach, whether it be a teepee, a yurt, a tiny home. I think fortunately in our industry, we've got a lot of really good high quality products that are offered. So it's part, again, our being, us trying to understand every aspect of the industry, make sure that we're connecting them with the right people if they don't already have somebody in mind.
Yeah. Pulling out your crystal ball here as we wind down the show. All right. So we want you to think ahead. Obviously there's an election year coming, and the economy. Oh.
Yeah, we'll get it. We'll get a lot of calls with people that don't have a property identified, and so they'll call and say, "What can I do right now while I'm looking?" And Ben and I were saying, that preparation is important, and putting together a good team and really doing the research about not only the industry in general, but the market, let's say the identity of your park, and then also during that period of time is understand your own financial position, and what does your credit look like? What does your liquidity look like? It's going to be a little bit different if somebody's looking at a park and, let's say, financing it with 90% leverage versus somebody who needs 30% and therefore may have to give up some equity to bring partners in. So it's really a lot of prep work, and not only understanding what you're seeing in the industry, but also the position you're in to be able to have success. Because at the end of the day, there's nothing worse than not being able to approve a loan, even though a lot of times it's in the borrower's best interest that maybe the timing's not right. But if you do your preparation and you really are focused on what you're doing, it does really help you be able to be successful. Looks like
I think we lost.
Yeah.
Yep, I think we lost Mike again.
Yeah.
Just wrapping up the show, as I mentioned before, get out your crystal ball. And I guess just, we're coming into an election year. I think I was just reading where they said consumer confidence was a little bit down. Inflation is a little bit high still. Looking ahead, what's the industry look like in the next year or so? I guess, do you see loans tightening even more, or do you see, especially in the outdoor hospitality industry, just kind of the ability to still find loans, I guess?
I think that the ability to find businesses is still very good. And I think that the tricky part is if you're, where we currently are with rates, which are double what they were a year and a half ago. I think that the only, negative, or the negative, would be from a cash flow standpoint. And, you want to have the borrower approach it with their brain, not their heart. So some deals at this point, the way they're priced and with the way rates are, don't allow the borrower to make money. And, so I think that if there's a slowdown, it's simply just from the understanding of the buyer that, you want to have positive cash flow. And also the seller, unfortunately for them, because I'm all for the seller making every last penny they can, it's a slightly different world than 2021 where everything worked and rates were low and, kind of a high water mark with the way parks were doing. So I think that there's just a realization right now that the sellers need to be working with the buyers. And as a bank, again, going back to it, we have a responsibility to, as you're talking about cash flow, to really explain it to the borrower is, hey, if you're going to be in the position and you're purchasing this and you're, risking your hard-earned money, and could be a lot of money. Do you only want to make $7,000 a year? And if when they look at it that way, they're like, no, I don't want to do that. And so that's part of our role, is to make sure that the saying is be careful of the tail. Make sure that they understand that when they get into this loan and when they buy the park, that they have to be prepared, for the what if situations. And ultimately, it's a great lifestyle. We want them to all be successful, but at the same time, we don't want to put them in a position that could cause a financial hardship.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. I don't know what happened to Mike. Mike's gone. Mike's no longer with us. I guess just to wrap up the show, how do people get in touch with you, Mo, at Live Oak?
Right. So if you look at our website, you'll see our team there. You can reach me at Moe Kruger Kruger at liveoak.bank. Phone number is 910-550-2907. Either way, I'd love to see people at Arvik. We have a booth there. You also, if you go on our website, you'll see my teammates who do a great job, Nick Barker and Pierce Verchick. 100% confident in what they do. We approach it all, very much as teams. And so the three of us, as I said, and even though it kind of sounds corny, we are honored when somebody gives us a call and wants to talk to us about them pursuing a lifetime dream. And that dream is owning their own business.
Yeah, and the website for people who don't know is liveoakbank.com, I believe. That's the right one.
You are correct.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if there was like 2 or 3 Live Oak banks. So I don't know. You always got to be kind of careful sometimes. But liveoakbank.com again. And thanks, Moe, for coming on the show and for taking the time out to talk with us. I look forward to seeing you at some of the or members of your team at some of the other shows this fall. And thanks, everyone, for watching. And we will be back again next week, hopefully with Mike in tow for the whole So we'll have to see. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see everyone again next week.
Thank you for listening to WCM's Park Update, a production of Woodall's Campground Magazine. Join us for a new show each Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on Facebook, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on Facebook and LinkedIn for daily news and updates, and subscribe to our news feed on our website at woodallscm.com. Show hosts are Ben Quiggle and Mike Gast. Executive producers Rick Kessler and Alex Burkett. Copyright 2022, G&G Media Group.